So I decided to play Hot Tub Simulator 3 and was quite disappointed at the lack of hot tubs after the first level.
HJ Review.
Welcome back, everyone, to potentially a Witcher 3 journal. I don't know, maybe. So there's been a trend in my gaming habits lately. Starting last year, there's these games that I picked up a couple years ago, played them for a few hours, and I put them aside. And I've been revisiting them only to discover that they are masterpieces. So this all started with Nier Automata last year, a game I bought 2-3 years ago, put in 4 hours. I said, I don't like this game, put it away, pulled it out during the pandemic. I was like, oh my God, this game's a masterpiece. And I completed it. And same thing with Monster Hunter, a game I played, returned, didn't like it, came out here and said it's bad, and then gave it a second chance. And now I'm 70 hours into Monster Hunter, and I'm loving this franchise. So when I was doing the crossover event of Monster Hunter World with Witcher 3 last week, it reminded me that I did the same thing with Witcher 3, a game that got all this hype around it. It was like Game of the Year nominee for a whole ton of award shows. And I tried it a few years ago, put in about 4 or 5 hours into it, didn't like it, returned it, or sold it to somebody. So I was like, what if I missed out on something? What if I was just in the wrong mindset and now's the time? And over the past week, I've been trying to find something to play between Monster Hunter that doesn't require a lot of attention, that I can just kind of like relax with. And I got the itch by playing Monster Hunter, that crossover with The Witcher 3. I've been eyeing Witcher 3 ever since the Netflix show came out. I love the Netflix show. I was like, maybe I should go back to the game. I looked on Steam. It was $20. It was like 80% off. So I'm like, all right, this is it. And I finally started yesterday. And I have to say, I just finished the Griffin. I killed my first Griffin, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So I complain on stream that I was not a fan of The Witcher 3's crossover event because of all of the like the dialogue and the slow pacedness of it. And yeah, when I'm playing on stream, I want something a little bit faster. But when I'm just looking for something to relax with, honestly, Witcher 3 was the perfect pace where I can just kind of zone out, let Geralt talk to me, just let him narrate the whole game to me, and then make a few like decisions here and there. But the rest of the time, it's pretty slow pace and going from one place to another. Now, when I first played it a couple years ago, I think I was looking for something a little bit faster pace, and my mind had just kind of like skinned apart the RPG. I'm like, oh, this is just a go here, go here, go here, move the story forward about a story I don't care about. Coming at it again, now that I know what this world's about, I know what a Witcher is because of the Netflix show, I'm kind of more, how will you say, seduced by the whole skin of this game that, yeah, maybe under an RPG mechanic, it's pretty much go to this quest, go to this to move a narrative piece. But now the narrative makes a little bit more sense and more appealing to me. The first time that I played it, they throw all these kingdom names and there's these kingdoms at war and you're chasing a girl, and there was just so many things that I didn't understand about this world. I was just like, this is a lot for me to get into. But now that the Netflix show has kind of eased me into it of like, oh, Witcher is kind of like a mutated man with powers. They hunt beasts. I like hunting beasts now, specifically monsters. And I kind of know about the war going on. I'm like, all right, I understand enough about this world that I want to play in it now. And another thing that was very, that put me off the first time was the fact that I was bombarded by all this lore, but then I was bombarded with all of this gameplay mechanic that I just wasn't used to in my RPGs. I play a lot of JRPGs. Here you have to deal with 2 swords. It's not turn-based. You have to actually be good in your movements. There's potions. There's magic, and you have to do that all at once, all at the beginning. They don't really ease you in too much. They just kind of like drop you with all these mechanics. But now that I've gone through Monster Hunter where they just, throw a bunch of stuff at you, this feels a lot tamer in comparison. And now that I like the mechanic of actually having that like real-time dodging, real-time attacking in Monster Hunter that kind of translates to a similar, simpler gameplay in Witcher 3, I'm like, okay, there's enough similarities here. I like it, and it's slower pace. And I can just take my time doing these quests. Monster Hunter quests, they're actually, no, in terms of time, they're about the same time. So just already like at this first, I just got to the first village. I just kind of finished most of the quest. I'm already like, okay, I'm getting more into this. Maybe I should document my first thoughts, because maybe I'll just do a Witcher 3 journal while I'm doing 2 other Monster Hunter journals. Why not? Bring on more work. This is not a pledge. I'm not pledging anything. I'm just sharing my initial thoughts. So when it comes to the combat, I really do like what they've done, how you've got your like melee attack, your strong attack. You can dodge, you can roll. It feels like Monster Hunter light. And I'm okay with that. You find your monster, you fight them. I like the added element of magic and the tactical aspect where you can like put on a shield, you can cast some fire. I went to this one quest where you had to fight a specter around a well, and I learned that like you have to put like a shield or something, a thing on the ground so that the specter goes in there, materializes, and then you can fight it. Really like that mechanic. Potions, I'm just starting to get into a little bit. But I'm learning that pretty much everything I'm seeing, I'm grabbing, which is another mechanic from Monster Hunter that I've like started doing, that when you see things, herbs and stuff, grab them. Witcher 3 is like that on steroids, where you want to grab every leaf possible so that you can concoct potions so that you can be stronger in your battles. I'm loving that mechanic. The signs we talked about, the weapons, you got 2 swords. It's pretty straightforward, but I do like the fact that you can loot a whole bunch of stuff, and then you can like take apart those weapons to craft other things. Like that mechanic. I like the fact that there's just so many side quests. There's so much stuff to do. I can jump into this game. If I want to kill maybe 20 minutes, I can do that without having to invest too much of my time. Like I can invest 20 minutes. I can invest 3 hours if I want. When it comes to playing the game, you have a lot of options, I find, in terms of your moral compass. Do you want to be a good Witcher? Do you want to be a Witcher that doesn't care? And I'm kind of going at it with, so I haven't read the books, I haven't played any of the previous games, I only have the Netflix show to go by. And in my mind, Geralt is like a guy who, he doesn't really pick sides. Deep down, I think he's a good guy, but when it comes to picking sides, he's not about that. He's just like, I will hunt whatever you want, whoever you are, as long as you pay. So I'm kind of going in with that mindset. And I was thinking of like this one, and the game's already like testing, because I have like the moral compass. I've always wanted to do good in games. And so there's this one quest where there's a lady who got attacked by a griffin who's dying. And the lady's like, oh, it's okay, I gave her medicine. She's going to die peacefully with a pleasant dream. And Geralt is like, well, I could probably give her some medicine. It might save her life, or it might give her a terrible like pain and she will die in complete anguish. And I'm just like, that's not a Witcher's duty. I'm like, this girl doesn't know that she's gonna die. She's pleasantly having some dreams. That seems like a good choice, as opposed to maybe like waking up in agony, screaming where the whole village hears you, and then I get blamed for being the bad guy because I tried to be nice. So I'm already like doing things I would not traditionally do in games, just because I'm trying to go through this like kind of neutral moral compass choice. I can already see the game is going to be testing me. There's another quest where you have to hunt down, or you have to find a villager that set the blacksmith's house on fire, and he tried to bribe me with money. I'm like, well, if I was a Witcher that only went with the best offer, I should go and take this bribe. But I'm like, no. I'm a Witcher with an honor code. I complete my original contracts to the end. So I brought the guy over, and then it turns out they're going to go kill him because he gave him to the invading army to go kill him. I'm like, oh, that didn't feel so good. Maybe I should have taken his money, and then people wouldn't have died. Another reason I was hesitant is I know this is kind of a dark story. I think like the world is dark. There's a lot of dying. I mean, it's very medievalish like times in the realistic version, not the Lord of the Rings version, but the version where you actually see how bad it was to live in those days. And it's not affecting me yet though, which is good. The first time that I played it, I made it past this town, and I made it to the castle where they just started talking about like 3-4 different kingdoms, all these characters as though I knew what they were talking about. And I think that really turned me off, the fact that they were just throwing so much stuff that was just unknown to me. But now I'm going at it with a different mindset where I'm like, who cares? I'm Geralt and I'm doing side quests and I'm making money out of it. That's why I'm playing this game. And it reminds me of Monster Hunter, which is an extra plus. So that's how I'm approaching it. I'm having a lot more fun. I'm playing it on PC too, because I wanted to really crank up all the settings, because I have a PC that can do that now. And I'm like, I keep forgetting about that. I'm like, oh yeah, what does this look like when I like crank it to like ultra high settings? And then like I see like little like golden things on them. I'm like, oh, it looks so nice. And then I can just appreciate the game more. The first time I tried to play this was on an Xbox One, and not a good experience. I remember, I think it was the original load screen or something. It just was terrible. So I'm like, I'm so happy I got this on PC. Witcher 3 is a game I think that is most appreciated on PC, just for all of the performance that it offers here. So all that to say, I'm enjoying my Witcher journey so far. If you guys like this, maybe we're going to keep documenting, because this is a pretty long game. I don't think it's a game that translates well to on stream, because a lot of the times I'm just listening to the story being told as it's an RPG. So I don't think it's a good stream game. But I'm happy to share my journey off screen in these little journals if that's something you guys want to watch. Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you on the next, I guess this is kind of a Hey Jay review. And until then, keep it classy.